Hello my listeners, this is Wiktor Doctor from Pro Progressio and you are listening to 27th episode of my show Good Morning BSS World. Today we have Sunday, 19th of July 2020, 6 a.m. Polish time. The perfect day is just starting, the sun is rising and I have for you a few minutes of a, I think, quite interesting conversation. As you already may know me a bit, you should be aware I love to go through and read business reports. And those ones which describe BSS, Business Support Services destinations, are on the top of my list. So, here, today, I have for you, released on July 15th, 2020, the BSS in TriCity 2020 Status Report. This publication was written by Invest in Pomerania agency and describes the outsourcing and shared services industry in TriCity, fourth largest BSS agglomeration in Poland. The report is prepared in Polish and in English, includes 16 pages and is very easy to go through it. So let's do it now. Let's see what you can find in this report. And once we finish, feel free to click one of the attached links in the description of this episode and dig deeper in the provided data. So, here we go. I do have this report opened in front of myself. So, I will do it like that I will go through the following pages and just tell you what you can find within this report, and we'll try to encourage you to do it on your own as well, because if you are in a situation at the moment to consider good location for your operation center, doesn't matter if it's a BPO type of a center, IT center, or is it a captive shared service, or maybe one of another chains in the global services network you are already having or you are creating, the TriCity is one of those locations in Poland which should be considered by you. I think one of the good reasons why to start reading this report is it's already opening. Why? Because it is written by Elias van Herwaarden, one of the most important advisors in the BSS industry who I have ever met. Elias, in very short, I would say, way, have described the TriCity and the reasons why this location should be considered as a location for the BSS type of operation centers. I think it is good to quote here one of the sentences which Elias uses in his intro to the report, and it sounds like that. In barely 2 decades, TriCity's business services sector's employment grew from a mere 2,000 to more than 28,000, ranking it fourth among Poland's BSS cities. So, as you can see, the potential is in here, and the three cities, because TriCity, as the name describes it, is a combination of 3 cities which create this bigger agglomeration. So Elias gives the intro wording for the report, and that's very interesting already in the very beginning of the report. But the second person who is already writing an intro in here is Marcin Grzegory. Marcin is a deputy director at Invest in Pomerania agency, and to be honest, he is the person who knows everything by heart when it comes to talk about the BSS industry in the TriCity region. I have a pleasure, to be honest, to know Marcin for many years, and usually when we have discussions about the BSS in Poland, he is very much focusing on his own region and is providing me with a lot of good examples of who is present in the TriCity region, how fast the companies grow, why did they decide to locate in that region, and so on and so on. So his input in the beginning of the report is here also very valuable, and I encourage you to go through that. It's just on 1 page, so it will take you very fast to do so. So then let's go to the parts of the report. The report starts with employment in the sector, and as you can find out in the report, the information shows that the sector is keep on rising, starting from 2011 going to 2020 every year. Every year, thousands of new employees are actually joining the BSS sector in TriCity. And it looks like it is very, very successful. The report shows us that the forecast for the end of 2020 for TriCity is 30,100 employees to be employed in the TriCity region, in BSS sector, of course. But in this report, you also have data and the graph which shows you how those employees are divided between certain type of operation centers. And here, what is written tells us that IT types of centers, they employ 37.7% of all the staff present in TriCity. On the second position, there are shared service centers, which employ 27.9% out of this total number. And then on the third position, you have centers of excellence, where the number 15.3% is being presented. Of course, there are also others like R&D and BPOs, but for the details of how big employment is in those two parts of types of the operation centers, I encourage you to go on your own into the report and you will find out the exact numbers. But what is important is that the report starts with the employment in the sector, and this is covered by it. But then let's move to the second section, which is already focused on the types of centers. So not from the perspective of employment in those centers, but the type of activities they do run in TriCity. And here you can read that approximately 64% of the 158 BSS operations in TriCity are either IT or R&D. And they are employing just over half of the overall headcount and totaling over 15,000 professionals. So, if you take a look on the composition of the sector, it shows you that 53.5% is purely IT, 25.2% are SSCs, 7.1% are BPOs, 3.9% are COEs, and 10.3% goes to R&D. So this is also described on one of the graphs. But then let's go to the edge. Yes, this is the title of another section, and I think it is a great thing which Invest in Pomerania did in the report, because they have taken a look deeper in this, what the companies actually are doing, what kind of services they are providing in the TriCity region. And there are some specialities, I would say, the areas of experience which are represented by the investors from the BSS sector. So there are 4 examples in here which are focusing on the area of experience, and there are given the names of the companies who fit into those specialities. Let's start with AI. So artificial intelligence. In this group, Invest in Pomerania have defined that 4,500 people do work in these areas and provide AI-based type of services. Here are some examples. So the representatives of the companies which are mentioned in the report by Invest in Pomerania are EPAM, Acoustic, Kainos, Amazon, SEE, and Intel. So those 6 examples are provided in the report. Then the second big specialty are financial security services, and as it is defined by Invest in Pomerania, 4,250 FTEs do work in that area. And here are given 3 examples of the companies. One of them is Refinitiv, the second one is State Street, and the third one is PwC. So the third bigger part of investors are those who represent maritime and logistics area. Here 2,700 people are employed, and they do represent such companies like, for example, Maersk Drilling, MacGregor, DNVGL, Hapag-Lloyd, One, and Movi. And the fourth section, remember that TriCity is located next to the seaside, so on the north of Poland, but the fourth section has nothing in common with the sea. It has a lot of in common with the air. Yes, I mean here the aviation industry. 1,300 FTEs employed in aviation, and this industry is represented by such big names like Lufthansa, Boeing, or Smart Aviation. So those are the four biggest specialities of services provided in the operation centers located in the Tri-City. But let's now move to the place where those companies do come from. So who is interested in locating the operation centers in Tri-City? Are those only investors coming from Poland, Europe, or maybe perhaps the other parts of the world? And here the authors of the report also prepared the certain description and the graph. And on this graph you can find out that the biggest number of the investors are the local ones, so those ones who are coming from Poland. But there isn't a big significant difference between the investors from Poland and from the other countries, because already on the second place there are investors who are representing Nordics, so those ones who are coming from either Denmark, Norway, Finland, or Sweden are on the second position. On the third one there are investors from USA, but also there are mentioned in others in the report, like coming from UK or Ireland, Germany, France, Japan, and the others. This is all mentioned in the report, and I encourage you to go to this report and find out on your own what other countries, how do they locate on this number of investors who are present in the Tri-City. But investors is one thing. This that you are coming from Nordics, US, or Germany means that most probably you need to speak the languages which are used in those countries. But you may also require knowledge of the other languages, and this is how it is represented by the centers in Tri-City. So in the languages section of the report you can find out that as in every other major city, English is the language of business and is spoken by 141 centers, with the German being the second favorites, 37. Only 7 German companies in the sector are represented in Tri-City. So if we go deeper into the languages, you can find out that English is of course number one with this 141 centers which I already mentioned. Then we have German, then French, Norwegian, Swedish, Spanish, Italian, Danish, Russian, Dutch, Finnish, and so on and so on. You can find out that 30 centers speak 4 or more languages. And this is quite impressive because it's showing that a lot of companies who are present in Tri-City, a lot of operation centers who are located in that region of Poland, they are focused on international services and providing services to global clients. The very interesting thing is here, also mentioned in the report, that the company named Refinitiv, they do use 30 languages on a daily basis. 30 languages. So that sounds quite interesting, and that shows the potential of Tri-City, that you can find people who actually speak various languages of the world. On the second place there is PwC, where the employees speak with 27 languages, and there are also of course examples given of the other companies showing how many languages are being used to support their clients or employees when it comes to the GBS or SSC structures. The languages is one thing, but also the important thing which is mentioned in the report is a certain overview of the office spaces areas. Because if you are considering to move somewhere in the world, of course, not thinking only about the remote type of work which we witness at the moment, you need to look for the offices. And TriCity is a region in Poland where the modern office spaces are growing every year. Those are fantastic buildings which are represented by a number of local developers like Alchemia or Heveliusza 18 or Oficina. So those are the names of the buildings which were just created within the recent years. But let's look more deeper into the numbers. So as it is stated by CBRE, the total office stock for the June 2020 in TriCity stands for 863,533 square meters. This what is accompanied here are the data coming from Cushman and Wakefield, and they say that commissioned office space in 2016 was the number of 61,100 square meters, and the increase compared with 2018, as it is stated by Colliers International, was on the level of 8%. Okay, so number of the square meters is one thing, but the cost is the second thing. So you may expect the level of 13.8 euro as an average price per square meter in TriCity. Of course, in the premium locations it is much higher, but 13.8 euro is an average quote which you can count on at the moment. At the moment means middle of 2020 when it comes to the data which I'm sharing with you at the moment. Of course, this is not the only data which reflects the description of the office real estate in this report, because there are also some other information. For example, you can find out the map where there are presented districts, the districts which are the most popular to locate operation centers among the whole TriCity region. And those districts are very close to Oliwia, Gdańsk, which is my favorite, to be honest. I guess that this is the real business area located in Gdańsk. But then you have also area next to the Łużycka Street, which is based in Gdynia. And there are also some others, like the city center of Gdańsk, where there are investments of such developers like Eco Investors, Taurus, Inopa. But there is also one other, which I believe is going to have the best times just in front of them at the moment. And this is the area very close to the airport. Yes, the airport city is growing and the new office buildings are being created over there. All information about this you can find out in the report, including the names and even the logos, the brands of the buildings and of the developers who are present in the TriCity region. Then at the end of the report, there are some additional sections where you can find out the approach which is used by the Invest in Pomerania agency, and also the description of the tools which you can use when starting your operations in TriCity region. So everything is written in here very clearly, just 16 pages. Believe me, you can go through it very, very easily. And there is one surprise which you have at the very end. Maybe not a surprise, but very interesting element of the whole report. There is one single graphics. Yes, just one single graphics, but with all of the data. So on these graphics, you can find out how many investments of BSS are located in TriCity. And as you may remember it from the beginning of today's show, there are 158 of them. Then you have a description of how many people are employed in the TriCity region. And again, if you listened carefully, you remember that there are 30,100 FTEs which are expected to be employed at the end of 2020. Then you have also the composition of the sector. So how many there are in operation centers representing IT, SSCs, BPO, COEs, or R&D. Then, of course, there is another section which shows the figures for real estate, so how many square meters are available in the city and what is the cost of them. And, of course, the section about the investors, the languages used in the operation centers, and some other details. So all this packed in one graph. And I will, of course, have the link added to the description of this show, so you will find out easily this graph, and I encourage you to go through that. It just takes a few minutes, and I'm more than sure that it gives you very valuable data. The last page of the report are, of course, contact details to invest in Pomerania agency. And besides the contacts, there are also a lot of links to social media. And those links are for two, let's say, areas, not just one. It is not only showing you what is doing Invest in Pomerania as an agency and their profiles on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or just the web page, but also there is very interesting area which I encourage you to follow already now, and the name of this project is Live More Pomerania. Why it is important? Because it shows how the life is organized in the Tri-City and in the Pomerania region. You can find out what you can expect in the whole region, how the whole region is organized. So Live More Pomerania. Also, you can find out here links to Facebook, LinkedIn, but even the Instagram to see how it looks like. So this is it for today. Thank you for listening. I hope you liked what you heard and will stay with the Good Morning BSS World podcast for longer. To do so, make sure to subscribe on Spreaker, YouTube, or any other podcasting platform. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.